You're listening to the NFPT podcast, where we help aspiring trainers pass their exams and launch their fitness careers. I'm Erin Mahoney, and today we're going to do a sample CPT test question walkthrough. And the topic that we're going to be doing is muscle fiber types. So I'll read you the question and then the answer options. And then from there, what we'll do is we'll break down which of those answer options can be ruled out and therefore are incorrect, and which of those answer options, there's only one, becomes the correct one. The title of this episode is Simple Muscle Fiber Type Question because the question that we selected is about as simple and straightforward as it gets. These questions can be a little more complicated, but we wanted to start with the basics to get it rolling. All right, here we go. Which muscle fiber type is primarily used during a 100-meter sprint? That's your question. Your options are type 1A, type 1X, type 2A, and type 2X. As you're thinking it through, because it's asking you to identify the muscle fiber type, it falls under the testing domain of human anatomy and physiology. So we know that there are multiple testing domains that you are going to see on your exam. And this one's human anatomy and physiology. It's not venturing into program design yet, but the topic is over muscle fiber types. So here we go with the question one last time. Which muscle fiber type is primarily used during a 100-meter sprint? Is it type 1A, type 1X, type 2A, or type 2X? Let's break it down. Okay, first things first. Type 1 muscle fibers don't have an A or X clarifier, so they just are what they are. And if you know that, then you know that options A and B can be avoided immediately because you'll never see type 1A or type 1X muscle fiber types. Now, if you have a tough time remembering that type 1 is the one that doesn't have the clarifier, another way that you could void options A and B is by remembering the differences between type 1 and type 2 muscle fiber types. I like to use this trick, which is 1 mile an hour is slower than 2 miles an hour. So then I say, okay, type 1 muscle fibers fatigue more slowly than type 2 muscle fibers, which fatigue more quickly or fast. So that helps me also realize, okay, a 100-meter sprint, we're not going to be doing this too slowly. So we're going to want to go to that end of the spectrum that is all about fast. So we know that the correct answer has to be C or D. Now, the other thing that is really helpful to do is whenever it's possible that something lives on the spectrum, understand where it lives on the spectrum. And so with this question on a 100-meter sprint, we know that sprint, that race is about as fast as you possibly could get. Therefore, since I know that race is all the way on that end of the spectrum there, I want to choose the answer option that is also on that end of the spectrum. And so it doesn't go any higher than type 2X. So even if I don't totally know what it means, I can come up with the right answer by realizing that 100-meter sprint is all the way over there on the one side of the spectrum, and I want to choose the answer that is also over there. Another way you can remember the differences between muscle fiber types is with this memory trick, which is type 2X. You associate that X with explosive. So that's going to be any explosive movement, whether it's a sprint, whether it is powerlifting, whether it is tire flips, it doesn't matter. Plyometrics, any activity that requires immediate energy for a short amount of time, that is explosive. That is type 2X. And then type 1, you can associate that 1 with the I in Ironman. So if I am participating in an Ironman, I sure hope my muscles are going to be slow to fatigue because I've got a while to do that race. The whole point here is, yes, you're going to use memory tricks sometimes when you need to, but you don't want to have to be memorizing everything. You only want to rely on memorization from time to time, and then you want to leverage that memorization into application and activity. So as you're going through your CPT course, you want to be connecting what you're learning with what you're doing in the gym day in and day out. What that allows you to do is it allows you to answer the questions in a variety of different ways rather than just relying on memorization. And especially with muscle fiber types, typically you're going to have questions that are framed around scenarios or application based questions. And you always want to be using practical cues as much as possible. What's important to know about muscle fiber types is they're one of our CPT content anchors. So the NFPT Core 4 learning model gives you 4 CPT content anchors. These content anchors, any one of those content pieces, are found in more than one testing domain. That's why muscle fiber types is considered a CPT content anchor, because you can be asked the question about human anatomy and physiology, or you can be asked a muscle fiber type question and how it relates to program design. Therefore, it becomes more important, and you're going to see several of them on your exam. And you, for this type of topic, you want to be able to know the baseline information. And that's the bottom of our pyramid and our learning model. But you also want to be able to apply it. That's the next level up. And then ultimately, for this one, you want to establish confidence in the topic. Confidence means you are confident you can answer a muscle fiber type question, regardless of how the question is worded, regardless of whether it's an application based question or rote memorization question. That is our NFPT Core 4. And again, it's proprietary to NFPT. And that's why we get the highest passing percentages. All right. So if you want more walkthroughs like this, then you definitely want to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes, but also check out NFPT's recorded exam prep webinar series. This supplements any CPT program and helps you understand these complicated topics in easy to understand terms. But better yet, you could enroll in your NFPT CPT today, because we give you everything that you need in order to pass your exam. And it's why we have such high passing percentages. And ultimately, the most successful trainers, they start here. All right, don't forget to subscribe. We will do more question walkthroughs, and you stay well and keep moving. Today's episode is brought to you by Summit Professional Education. Unlock your potential with Summit Professional Education, your trusted partner for expert-led courses, flexible learning, and essential CEUs. Elevate your skills today at summiteducation.com.